Good morning. Thank you for tuning in to Local News Live here on AOC Community Media. This is a service to the community led by a wonderful group of volunteers, including Mr. Bruce Cohen on the line with us this morning from his home studio, here to read local and state news from the Acadiana Advocate as we do each weekday here at 9 a.m. Good morning, Bruce. Thank you for joining us yet again this week.
You're welcome. You're absolutely welcome, Mandy, as always. I enjoy doing it and getting the news out to those folks who don't have access to the news. That's what we're all about. So you go ahead and listen in, and I will start the news off. Well, good morning, Acadiana. It's Thursday, October 15th, 2020. Of course, the first few stories will be related to the storm. It just passed us last week, Hurricane Delta. Tucson rural parishes moved closer to full power. Outages in the aftermath of Hurricane Delta devastating to some families by Ken Stickney and Megan Wyatt, staff writers. Power providers moved closer to full service in Acadiana on Wednesday as problem areas like Tucson, battered by Hurricane Delta late Friday, steadily improved their connections with customers. Even so, the power outage has been devastating to many Tucson residents, like Michelle Washington, who sticks to a tight budget to support her 4 children. The family lost all the food in their refrigerator and deep freezer. I live on a budget, Washington said. It's hard when you can't afford a generator. The single mom who works as an in-home caregiver has relied on help from family and town leaders to make ends meet. She was cooking dinner over a propane burner Wednesday evening for her children. My mom and aunt have been helping out, Washington said. They've been cooking or giving us something to cook outside, and that's how we've been making it. Jamie Angel, spokesperson for the LCG, or Lafayette Consolidated Government, said power transmission in Tucson, located at the Lafayette-Acadia Parish line, was hampered by felled trees and other problems as Delta swept through the area. The western edge of the parish got more of the brunt of the storm, Angel said. Anytime folks are without power, it's an issue. Tucson is providing bottled water, bags of ice, and hot meals to residents. It's been a tremendous help, said Brittany Koch, who lives in Tucson with her husband and 7-year-old son. The ice keeps our food cold, and today we were served lunch by the mayor, jambalaya and green beans. It's been helpful, but the demand has sometimes been greater than the availability. The town is doing as much as they can, Washington said. Today they gave out 500 meals, but it wasn't enough to feed the whole town. By the time we made it there, they were out. Both Washington and Coach were recently able to borrow generators from family members to power their refrigerators and charge their cell phones. They're still eager to say goodbye to cold showers and flashlights after dark. Tucson Police Chief Kip Judas said the entire town has been dark for days, aside from a generator-powered light here or there. His police department has also been relying on backup generator power. We have electrical access because of a generator, Judas said, but we can't do any reports or anything. We don't have internal access or Wi-Fi or anything. Judy cited the outage and a Tucson student being struck by a vehicle while boarding a bus early Wednesday morning. He just bumped the kid, Judas said, but if the driver thought the lights he saw were electrical workers and not a school bus, it distracted him, with his eyes strained from the road to look for a downed power line or something. While nobody likes to be without air conditioning or lights, Judas said the outage has had an even bigger impact on his community than others in Lafayette Parish because his residents are less affluent. I think they're resilient, Judas said. They seem to be getting by, even though it's affected their ability to do everyday things. It's been tough on everybody, but there are little things that are tough to comprehend and put into words. Entergy and Slimco both provide power in Tucson. Entergy's spokesperson, Brandon Scardigelli, said Tucson, he expected power to return to all homes that could expect or accept power on Wednesday night or Thursday. Slimco lost power to 108,000 of 110,000 customers during the storm, spokesperson Mary Laurent said. She says Slimco serves about 40,000 customers in Lafayette Parish and 9.8% remained without power on Wednesday. Lafayette, she said, is the most urban of Slimco's customer base. She said parishes in the direct path of the storm, Acadia and Vermilion, were proving more difficult to reconnect because they are more rural, involve vast amounts of power lines, and customers who are more spread out. She said Jefferson Davis Parish, badly hit by the storm, had lots of little pockets of customers that are being reconnected a few at a time. She says Slimco has about 700 workers, including the company's own 140 personnel, to address problems along its 10,000 miles of line. Per mile of line, our density is a lot less than others, she said. She said outages on Wednesday included Lafayette Parish with 4,016 customers at 9.8% of the population, Acadia Parish 2,682 of 14,423 customers at 18.6%, Vermilion Parish 1,673 of 15,336 customers, 10.91%. St. Landry Parish 1,366 of 19,035 customers, 7.18%. And St. Martin Parish 514 of 16,279 customers, 3.16%. Lawrence and Slimco hopes to have all customers who can accept power reconnected by the end of the weekend. In other hurricane news, cleanup continues. Youngsville Police Chief injured by chainsaw while helping residents by Megan Wyatt. Youngsville Police Chief Ricky Boudreaux's hurricane relief efforts were cut short after he injured himself with a chainsaw Wednesday morning. Boudreaux said his officers have been assisting Youngsville residents by cutting and moving fallen trees and limbs from their yards after Hurricane Delta whipped through the city. It was my idea, Boudreaux said. I talked to several of the residents, some in tears because they didn't have the money to pay for tree removal. We did what we could do, but now we're back to our regular jobs. Youngsville officers were able to help with storm debris cleanup at 18 households from Sunday through Wednesday morning. The department had about 60 requests for help after publicly offering assistance and had to limit service to those living within Youngsville city limits. It was completely overwhelming, Boudreaux said, and then some of them we couldn't help because the trees were just too large for us to do anything with. Boudreaux said he cut his leg with a chainsaw Wednesday after a kickback as he was cutting a branch at a Youngsville home. He received stitches for the wound at a hospital. I'm already healed. I'm ready to go back to work, Boudreaux said with a laugh midday Wednesday, but I was informed by the insurance companies I had to stop liability issues. I'm going to do it again. I'm just going to do it on my off time. They can't tell me what to do on my off time. Long lines expected as early voting starts Friday. 10,412 mail-in ballots requested in Lafayette Parish by Claire Taylor. With heightened interest in the presidential election, registrars of voters are anticipating long lines when in-person early voting begins in Louisiana on Friday. That's tomorrow. Some voters in Georgia stood in line for 8 hours on Tuesday to cast ballots for president on the first day of early voting there. Several registrars in Louisiana suggest the preparation will help reduce the wait times and warn they expect long lines when early voting opens Friday. Voters may visit GoVote, that's GEAUX, vote.com, to view what's on their ballot. They can print the ballot or download the GoVote app with their sample ballot. You can have your ballot all marked on your phone and use that as your guide when you're at the voting machine. Iberia Parish Registrar of Voters Christy Blanchard said on Wednesday, you should not be coming into the office to ask for a sample ballot. Be a prepared voter. The ballot is lengthy in Lafayette Parish, containing races for U.S. President, U.S. Senate, U.S. House of Representative, District Judge, District Attorney, City Judge, Lafayette City Marshal, 7 state constitutional amendments, a sports betting proposition, a public school tax renewal, and rededication of a parish-wide cultural economy tax to fire protection in unincorporated areas to roads and bridges. Early voting for the November 3rd election will be from 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. Friday through August 27th, except Sundays. 2 additional early voting locations will be open in Lafayette Parish, the Martin Luther King Center at 309 Core Street in Lafayette, and the East Regional Library at 215 La Nouvelle Road in Youngsville. As always, those voting early may also do so at the Lafayette Parish Registrar of Voters Office, 1010 Lafayette Street, Suite 313 in downtown Lafayette. Due to the COVID-19 pandemic, voters will not be allowed to wait inside the building, Registrar Charlotte Menard said. Voters should be prepared to wait outside until summoned by a deputy when it is their turn to vote. St. Landry Parish has not added early voting locations. Registrar Cheryl Milburn said those waiting to vote will be allowed to do so in a nearby courtroom. In Terrebonne Parish, voters won't be voting early at the registrar's office. Registrar Rhonda Rogers said instead all early voting will take place in the large Civic Center at 346 Civic Center Boulevard in Houma. Voters should bring a photo ID, wear a mask, and practice social distancing, Menard said. The number of mail-in ballots requested for the November 3rd election suggests voter turnout will be high for the election. In Lafayette Parish, 10,412 voters requested mail-in ballots as of Tuesday, Menard said on Wednesday. That's about 6.5% of the 159,269 registered voters as of October 1st. Between September 1st and October 1st, 1,899 people registered to vote in Lafayette Parish, according to the Louisiana Secretary of State's office. The breakdown by political party shows 63,525 voters, 40% in Lafayette Parish are registered Republican, 51,209, 32% are registered Democrat, and 44,535, 28% are registered in other parties. A celebration of life is planned for arts advocate Cheryl Castillo by Megan Wyatt. Artists, speakers, and performers will come together Saturday to celebrate the life of one of their greatest advocates, Cheryl Castillo, who died unexpectedly September 20th at the age of 61. Saturday's event, which is called Tip of the Hat, will take place inside of the Acadian Center for the Arts with overflow seating available outside. It will also be live streamed. It really came together because so many people in Cheryl's life wanted to do something to honor her, said Kate Duria, one of the event organizers. We all have something different to offer, and we knew it needed to be COVID-friendly. Castillo, who most recently served as director for the Louisiana Division of the Arts, had been undergoing chemotherapy for ovarian cancer, but was well enough to continue working until she died last month. The news came as a shock to those who worked closely with her. We knew that she was sick, said Kristen Sanders, Castillo's supervisor at the Office of Cultural Development, in a September interview. But we all knew Cheryl included that there was a treatment plan. The State Arts Council teamed up with the Acadiana Arts Council to put on Saturday's event, which will include a few elements. Speakers and performers will pay tribute to Castillo starting at 2:30 p.m. at the Acadian Center for the Arts. Among those are Castillo's husbands, niece, and brother. It's something really special, Rio said, to have those people play songs and speak about Cheryl. That's a big part of it, making sure the family could be there too. Castillo, who lived in the St. Landry Parish community of Prairie La Ronge, was a Wisconsin native who fell in love with Cajun music and Cajun musician Blake Castillo, and Louisiana is a vibrant cultural and arts community. After she spent much of her career working in the arts, Castillo wasn't an artist by trade, but a recreational therapist. I would say that her art was dealing with people, said Herman Fuselier, the event's MC, in a September interview. She was just so good at it. We've lost such a key person. Community video messages and remembrances will be played at the event and posted online afterward. Organizations that have worked with Castillo will also display pop-up banners representing their collaborators at the celebration. Afterwards, there will be an in-person and virtual toast to Castillo. I feel like her accomplishments aren't even about her, said Sam Oliver, executive director for the ACA, or Acadian Center for the Arts, in a September interview. I think it's very telling of the greatest things Cheryl has done all life and other people's accomplishments and successes. So much of what she has done has been planting seeds in other people, seeds of imagination and drive. And I don't think there's a greater accomplishment you could have. All of her and those who work closely with Castillo say Saturday's event is a first step to ensuring Castillo's legacy lives on. A community mosaic project is also underway to decorate the Baton Rouge office where Castillo worked. With help from the state office and her family, a fund is being established in Castillo's name to create a memorial project in her home community of Gagliano. More details will be announced soon. Saturday's celebration of life is free, but those who wish to attend in person should register because space is limited due to coronavirus restrictions. You can learn more at the Facebook page Tip of the Hat and make sure that it's celebration to Cheryl Castillo. A man gets 50-year sentence in fatal crash by Katie Gagliano. A Youngsville man who pleaded guilty to causing a crash that killed a 22-year-old pregnant woman and her 1-year-old child has been sentenced to 50 years in prison. Dylan Anthony LeBlanc, 26, pleaded guilty in February to the 2018 drunken driving collision that killed Abby Swear Cintere, her son and her unborn child in Iberia Parish. Bo Duhay, 16th Judicial District Attorney, said in a statement that LeBlanc pleaded guilty to 8 crimes connected to the August 7, 2018 crash, 2 counts of vehicular homicide, 1 count of third-degree feticide, 1 count of aggravated obstruction of a highway, and 4 counts of first-degree vehicular negligent injury. LeBlanc was sentenced Tuesday by 16th Judicial District Judge Keith Como. The district attorney's office said security video showed LeBlanc driving recklessly in his westbound 2004 truck on US 90 in the east end of the parish before he lost control of the vehicle, crossed the medium, and entered the eastbound lane where Cintere of Franklin was driving a van. 3 other juveniles, passengers in Cinitere's van, were injured, as was a 41-year-old passenger in LeBlanc's truck. LeBlanc was sentenced to 15 years in hard labor for each of the 2 vehicular homicide charges and the aggravated obstruction of a highway change, 5 years at hard labor for third-degree feticide charge, and 5 years at hard labor for each count of first-degree negligent injury. The combined 30 years of prison time for the vehicular homicide charges were without benefit of parole, the statement said. Como ordered each 15-year sentence and the 5-year sentence for third-degree feticide be served consecutively, while the 4 or 5-year sentences for first-degree negligent injury were run concurrently with LeBlanc's other jail time. In addition to prison time, LeBlanc was ordered to pay $32,000 in fines. Assistant District Attorney Greg Colwart prosecuted the case, and Louisiana State Police investigated. Okay, it's just about 18 minutes past the hour, so we'll go to our first PSA for the morning. Because of the recent hurricanes, Laura and Delta, requests from mosquito control now available through Lafayette at 311, Mosquito Prevention and Safety. The LCGO, the Lafayette Consolidated Government, is increasing mosquito abatement efforts in the parish following hurricanes Laura and Delta. An increase in mosquito activity is a common occurrence following the storm event. Citizens noticing an influx of mosquitoes in their area can now use the Lafayette 311 portal to request service. All submitted requests are routed directly to Mosquito Control Services, the mosquito control contractor for the parish. Healing House is accepting group volunteers. Healing House, Hope for Grieving Children, is looking for volunteers to help grieving children and teens who have experienced the death of a parent, sibling, or special person. Interested volunteers must be at least 21 years of age, available 2 evenings out of each month, and able to attend the scheduled training services or series. Healing House, Hope for Grieving Children provides grief support groups for children in an atmosphere where they are allowed to express their grief through interactive play, expressive artwork, and discussion groups with peers experiencing the same trauma. All services provided by Healing House are free of charge and run by trained volunteers. Volunteers serve as a support group facilitators for children ages 4 to 17 and are instructed how to listen and to respond appropriately to a grieving child. A background of experience in mental health of counseling is not required. The upcoming training session will be held Friday, October 23rd, 2020, 8:30 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. Saturday, October 24th, 2020, 8:30 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. Volunteers are required to attend both days of the training sessions. The volunteer application can be found online at the Healing House website. Just look for the volunteer tab. To learn more about Healing House and the services they provide, call 337-234-0443. We can email Kim at healing-house.org, or again, visit the website healing-house.org. Getting back into our news. Tucson man arrested in fatal Tuesday shooting. This is from the Crime Blotter, which is compiled by the Advocate staff. A Tucson man was arrested in a first-degree murder in a fatal Tuesday shooting. Lafayette Parish Sheriff's deputies responded around 5:30 p.m. Tuesday to a shooting in the 100 block of North Marinay Circle and found 35-year-old Loveless Wills of Tucson dead inside a residence, a sheriff's office statement said. Samuel Shows, 28, of Tucson, was accused in the shooting and arrested on first-degree murder. No other details were provided about the shooting. Anyone with information related to the shooting is asked to contact Crime Stoppers at 337-232-8477, or you can also contact the Sheriff's Office at 337-232-9211, or submit a tip on the Lafayette Sheriff app. The Iberia fire victim dies from injuries. A second person has died following a Hurricane Delta-related house fire in New Iberia. Mark Cunningham, 73, died Wednesday after being hospitalized with serious injuries in the Sunday blaze. The Iberia Parish Coroner's Office confirmed the statement. Cunningham's partner, 70-year-old Judy Neal, died Sunday during the fire. The Iberia Fire Department responded about 8 a.m. to the home in the 200 block of Lost Lake Lane. Witnesses said an explosion occurred after Neal lit a cigarette. Investigators with the State Fire Marshal's office believe a natural gas leak was active around the home, possibly due to damage from Hurricane Delta, a statement said. Man accused of attempted murder in Lafayette man is accused of attempted murder after a Tuesday stabbing on Macklin Street. Omar Taylor, 23, was booked on account of attempted first-degree murder after police said he stabbed a man 65 or older. A stabbing happened around 6:30 p.m. in the 300 block of Macklin Street. A statement from Lafayette Police spokesperson Sergeant Wayne Griffin said. Officers determined the victim was taken to a hospital with injuries that were not life-threatening. Investigators concluded the victim and Taylor were engaged in an altercation when Taylor drew a knife and struck the victim multiple times, Griffin's statement said. Taylor was taken to the Lafayette Police Department for questioning and was booked into the Lafayette Parish Correctional Center after the interview. His bill is set at $75,000 according to online jail records. Car strikes student crossing to board bus. A Lafayette Parish student was struck by a vehicle Wednesday morning while crossing the street to board a school bus in Tucson, according to the Tucson Police Department. Tucson police said the incident happened at 6:15 a.m. on the 1000 block of Riceland Road. A high school student was transported to a hospital with injuries that were not life-threatening. That investigation revealed that an unidentified driver mistakenly associated the flashing red lights of a bus with that of a utility or construction truck and continued past the stop bus as the children was crossing the road to board the bus. According to police, contributing factors in this crash include poor street lighting and fog in the very rural area. Okay, moving on. Report, many Louisiana nursing homes are short-staffed. ARP, or AARP, says data shows nearly 4 in 10 facilities were affected in a 4-week period by Famon A. Roberts III. Nearly 4 in 10 Louisiana nursing homes reported a staffing shortage during a 4-week period in August and September, according to a new report from ARP. The data is included in a new monthly dashboard from the Senior Advocacy Group that details a number of metrics related to the performance of nursing homes during the coronavirus pandemic, including the availability of personal protective gear in homes, the infection and death rates per 100 residents, and staff infection rates. The report shows that Louisiana hews close to national averages in terms of per capita staff and resident cases, but is far above average in staffing shortages, with 39.6% of homes reporting a shortage of either nurses or aides. The national average is 28.8%, the report says. Research published in August in the Journal of the American Medical Association pointed to staffing shortages as a better indicator which homes would have coronavirus outbreaks than other measures such as federal star ratings, which grades homes in a number of areas, including infection control and staffing levels. The ARP report covers the period from August 24th to September 20th, well after the peak of infections and death in Louisiana's nursing homes. Since the pandemic began, more than 11,000 nursing home residents have been infected and more than 2,000 have passed away. According to numbers of home reports of the state, both have slowed in recent months. The dashboard set a baseline for key metrics going forward, and Denise Boche, head of the Louisiana Department of ARP, said, "We will have a good picture of how we're doing in relation to the pandemic," she said. Other reporting tools from the state and federal governments don't give you the big picture of what's happening in the state of Louisiana, she said. The ARP's dashboard relies on data reported to the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. The federal government began requiring nursing homes to report the data in May. Roger said the report will be forwarded to state and congressional leaders in an attempt to help push them to prioritize efforts to properly staff and equip homes. She urged state leaders to develop programs that will allow currently unemployed workers to get trained and licensed to work in nursing homes, as is being done in some other states. One problem has been that they can't attract people for these jobs, she said. National industry groups have called for federal leaders to pour more resources to combat the virus among nursing home residents who are often especially vulnerable to the disease. Nationally, nursing home residents have accounted for around 40% of overall deaths from the pandemic. Okay, let's read a couple more public service announcements before we move back into our half-hour break. I will read the day in history, the zodiac or horoscope, as I like to refer to it as, and the funerals in the Gagliano area for today. We look at the Festival of Words, and they have a student creative writing contest going on. Students in grades 3 through 12 from across the Gagliano area are invited to participate in a writing contest sponsored by the National Writing Project of Gagliano and the Festival of Words. Students can enter their original writing pieces in 3 writing categories, including poetry, fiction, creative nonfiction. Final deadline for online submissions by email is Friday, October 23rd, 2020 by 11:55 p.m. Writing should be submitted through a supervising teacher or school facilitator online by sending them to HM Creamer, that's HMKREAMER at louisiana.edu. Parent guardian permission must be granted by filling out the student writing contest entry form. Supervising teacher or school facilitator should submit those forms electronically by the submission deadline as well. Awards will be given for first, second, and third place winners. Contest winners will also receive an anthology publication of winning entries. Please feel free to contact Dr. H. Michelle Kramer, Writing Competition Coordinator for Festival Words Student Creative Writing Contest. Again, her email address is hmkramer, that's with a K, HMKREAMER at louisiana.edu if you have any questions or concerns, and happy writing. The Gagliano Symphony Orchestra, or the ASO, takes the virtual stage. Gagliano Symphony Orchestra ASO announces that they are shifting the fall portion of ASO 36 revival season to a virtual live stream platform. ASO believes that this is the unquestionable solution to keeping our community safe while still providing opportunities for local musicians to share their passion and earn income despite mandated restrictions and uncertain venue viability. Gagliano Symphony Orchestra has and will always remain committed to providing outstanding performances to Acadiana and fueling the cultural economy of our region. Symphony businesses and organizations across the country are having to rethink, retool, and reinvent. We're no different, so thank you for your grace and patience as we map out the next few months. We are working tirelessly behind the scenes to solidify plans for those virtual concerts, and it's our commitment to you that we will clearly and concisely communicate ASO 36 revival season details in the coming weeks. At a minimum, we are certain that you will receive the highest quality live streaming performance, which you can enjoy from virtually anywhere. The lineup, as it is now, is a program entitled Triumph, Friday, October 23rd, 2020, virtual. Transform, Friday, November 13th, 2020, virtual. Believe, Thursday, December 17th, 2020, virtual. Adore, Friday, February 12th, 2021, at the ACA, virtual. Empower, Friday, April 16th, 2020, St. John's Cathedral, virtual. And Revive, Thursday, May 13th, 2021, in St. Mary's Church. The AOC teams up with the United Way of Acadiana for Learn United. The United Way of Acadiana has teamed up with AOC and other local educational groups for Learn United, bridging the digital gap to provide educational resources for households that don't have internet but do have a television. The Learn United program airs weekdays from 8 to 2 on AOC 2, Cox 16, and LUS 4, and streaming at aocinc.org/watch. For daily schedules and to submit content for the program, visit the United Way of Acadiana website, unitedwayofacadiana.org/learn-united. Okay, folks, get back into the news. Looking at our day in history, today is Thursday, October 15th, the 289th day of 2020. There are potentially 77 shopping days left in the year. Today's highlight in history on October 15th, 1976, and the first debate of its kind between vice presidential nominees, Democratic Party Walter F. Mondale and Republican candidate Bob Dole faced off in Houston. On this date in 1815, Napoleon Bonaparte, the deposed emperor of the French, arrived on the British-ruled South Atlantic island of St. Helena, where he spent the last 5.5 years of his life in exile. In 1917, Dutch exotic dancer Mata Hari, 41, convicted by a French military court of spying for the Germans, was executed by a firing squad outside Paris. Maintaining her innocence to the end, Mata Hari refused a blindfold and blew a kiss to her executioners. Way to go. 1940, Charles Chaplin's first all-talking comedy, The Great Dictator, a lampoon of Adolf Hitler, opened in New York. In 1946, Nazi war criminal Hermann Göring fatally poisoned himself hours before he was to have been executed. 1954, Hurricane Hazel made landfall on the Carolina coast as a Category 4 storm. Hazel was blamed for some 1,000 deaths in the Caribbean, 95 in the U.S. and 81 in Canada. 1966, President Lyndon B. Johnson signed a bill creating the U.S. Department of Transportation. Revolutionary, and also on this date, the Revolutionary Black Panther Party was founded by Huey Newton and Bobby Seals in Oakland, California. In 1969, peace demonstrators staged activities across the country as part of a moratorium against the Vietnam War. In 1991, despite sexual harassment allegations by Anita Hill, the Senate narrowly confirmed the nomination of Clarence Thomas to the U.S. Supreme Court, which he still stands 52-48. In 2003, 11 people were killed when a Staten Island ferry slammed into a maintenance pier. Ferry's pilot, who blacked out other controls, later pleaded guilty to 11 counts of manslaughter. 2017, actress and activist Elisa Milano tweeted that women who have been sexually harassed or assaulted should write Me Too as a status. Within hours, tens of thousands have taken up to the hashtag Me Too, using a phrase that had been introduced 10 years earlier by social activist Tarana Burke. 10 years ago, the Obama administration reported that the federal deficit had hit a new record, $1.4 trillion, for the just completed budget year. 5 years ago today, President Barack Obama abandoned his pledge to end America's longest war, announcing plans to keep at least 5,500 U.S. troops in Afghanistan at the end of his term in 2017 and hand the conflict off to its successor. 1 year ago, Elizabeth Warren, carrying a new status as a frontrunner for the Democratic presidential nomination, came under attack from rivals at a debate in Ohio. They accused her of ducking questions about the cost of Medicare for all and her signature wealth tax plan. Today's birthdays: singer Barry McGuire is 85, actor Linda Lavin is 83, rock musician Don Stevenson from Moby Grape, one of my favorite groups, is 78. Baseball Hall of Famer Jim Palmer is 73. Singer-musician Richard Carpenter is 74. Former tennis player Roscoe Tanner is 69. Singer Tito Jackson, the Jackson 5, is 67. Actor-comedian Larry Miller is 67. Movie director Mira Nair is 63. Britain's Duchess of York, Sarah Ferguson, is 61 years old today. Chef Emerald Lagasse is 61. Bow, plan, or whatever he says. Actor Tanya Roberts is 61. Singer Eric Benet is 54. Country singer Kimberly Shapland from Little Big Town is 51. And rhythm and blues singer Keisha Cole is 39 years old today. Looking at the zodiac, if you're a Libra, listen to your heart and take a passionate approach to achieve your goal. Refuse to let anyone stand between you and what you want. Look for innovative ways, not negative, for innovative ways to deal with negativity. There we go. Scorpios, remembering what has made you happy in the past will encourage you to backtrack where you left off. Personal and spiritual growth are favored. Sagittarius, you can help others after jeopardizing your health, finances, or reputation. Be clear what you are willing to do and refuse to let anyone talk you into overcommitting. Capricorn, let go of situations that consume you. Anger isn't going to help you accomplish what you set out to do. Work alongside people willing to help make your dreams come true. Aquarius, look over contracts and agreements. Update documents. Be sure to handle your finances with care. Refuse to let someone interfere with or control you. Be sure to verify any information you receive. Pisces, how you help others will lead to unexpected rewards. A change to how you handle a legal, financial, or health issue will have positive results. Aries, pick up the pace. Don't let anyone mess with you. Remain focused on your objective. You will overcome any obstacle that stands in your way. The best is yet to come. Taurus, you'll face a challenge if you can't come to terms with what's happening around you. Take a step back and look at every angle. Be smart and set strategic plans in motion. Geminis, you've got what it takes to make a difference. Don't waste time on the impossible. Walk away from risky situations and people who try to lead you astray. Cancer, back up and refuse to let trivial matters get to you. Distance yourself if someone doesn't see things your way. Getting into a dispute will not be worth your time. And Leo, do something energetic. Self-improvement projects will bring its best results. Do your own thing and let others do as they please. Anger will lead to setbacks. And finally, Virgo, my birth sign. See what's on your mind. Say what's on your mind. Don't force your will on others. Kind gestures, truth, and understanding will win you support. Romance is favored. And as always, the horoscope is an entertainment feature, not based on scientific fact. Okay, the funerals in the Gagliano area today include Kenneth B.O., St. Peter's and Paul Catholic Church at 2 p.m., Shirley Bergeron, St. Charles Borromeo Roman Catholic Church at 3:15 p.m. Hazel Broussard, Our Lady of Lourdes Catholic Church in Erath at 10 a.m. Bernard Campbell, St. Basil Catholic Church at 11 a.m. Doris Cole at David Funeral Home Chapel at 2 p.m. And James St. Cyr, Our Lady of Mercy Catholic Church in Opelousas at 1 p.m. Getting back into the news cycle, Louisiana ACT scores fall for third straight year by Wills Littell. Setting off alarm bells, Louisiana's score on the ACT College Readiness Exam fell for the third consecutive year and is the lowest since 2013, officials said Wednesday. The latest composite score is 18.7 out of a possible 36 for the class of 2020. The results are down from 18.9 last year and 19.3 the year before that. Louisiana is tied with Oklahoma for 47th in the nation in the latest snapshot. The state in 2013 began requiring that all high school seniors take the test, not just those who plan to attend college. The exam measures where students know in math, English, reading, and science. The results show that only 22% of test takers met the national benchmarks in math, 24% in science, 31% in reading, and 49% in English. State officials often know that Louisiana is one of just 15 states where all high school seniors are required to take the test. The state is tied for 13th in that category, scoring higher than Mississippi and Nevada. Bromley said the drop in ACT scores is worth attention. What that means is students aren't getting into the college they choose. Bromley said, I think it's something we need to look at and how we need to flip that trajectory. Commissioner of Higher Education Kim Hunter-Reid also voiced concerns. Louisiana is a good example of providing access to all students, but the decline in ACT scores over time is clearly a call to action, Reid said in the statement. While ACT scores are not mandated for college acceptance in Louisiana, this year's scores are a clear mandate to us to do better in preparing all students, she said. For students to envision themselves succeeding in college, it's important for them to achieve scores to support their progress and increase access to scholarships and aid, Reid said. Expanded across access and student access must be our collective goal. But student success must be our collective goal. The results also mean that for the third consecutive year, the number of high school seniors to earn a college-going ACT score, 18, dropped. Even that score is considered minimal. For the class of 2020, a total of 52% achieved at least an 18, compared to 54% in 2019 and 59% in 2018. Also, students earning 21 or better slipped to 32% this time compared to 33% last year and 36% in 2018. More than 33,000 students took the test earlier this year. Scores also fell for students with disabilities, those from low-income families, and English learners. The composite U.S. average is 20.6. Massachusetts is tops in the nation with an average of 26, with 18% of students there taking the test. The ACT is part of the criteria for students to earn a state scholarship that pays for tuition and other costs. Here in Louisiana, we have the Taylor Opportunity Program for Students, or TOPS. However, both the ACT and SAT have come under the nationally admitted criticism that exams discriminate against minority students. Some top colleges have ended the requirement that students can earn a certain score on the test to be submitted. Backers say the ACT is a valid measurement in testing student skills and one that offsets differences in the quality of high schools nationally. As LSU officials said, a student's ACT score is considered as part of an overall evaluation on whether he or she will be admitted. Bromley made his comments during his report to the State Board of Elementary and Secondary Education, or BESE. The exam is administered by a firm in Iowa City, Iowa. Students are allowed to take the test multiple times. Rules vary on whether the last test or highest score is used. How students fare on a wide range of standardized tests is expected to drop this year since classrooms were closed in mid-March during the early stages of the coronavirus pandemic. Their reliance on virtual learning at the end of the 2019-20 school year as well. The current school year is one of the factors said to be contributing to any decline. Interim LSU head Gagliano wants job permanently by Mike Ballard, Capitol Bureau editor. LSU Board of Supervisors, which was supposed to start looking for a new system president after Christmas, finally announced Wednesday it has begun its search to permanently replace F. King Alexander, who moved to head Oregon State University last year. Over the past 10 months, LSU has struggled with the COVID-19 pandemic, a mere intense look at the flagship's racist past, and concerns about whether to separate the jobs of system president and chancellor of the Baton Rouge campus. In fact, the first task the 20-member committee will focus on is preparing a position description for the presidency the full board will consider on October 23rd. Thomas Gagliano, death of LSU's Paul M. Abear Law Center, was brought in January 1st as an interim and told he would run things temporarily for 6 to 9 months. Initially, Gagliano was looking forward to returning to the law school and teaching. The Thomas Gagliano, I said death, I said dean. Thomas Gagliano, dean. But not anymore. I got the bug, Gagliano said Wednesday, adding he'll apply for the job no matter how it's structured. I have not looked at the process, but however one expresses interest in the position, I will be expressing interest in the position, Gagliano said. Gagliano has led LSU through an abrupt shutdown and transfer to online learning caused by the coronavirus pandemic, and organized how to bring students and faculty back to LSU campuses. At the same time, LSU's racist history has come under sharper review as the university removed the name of Troy Middleton, a war hero and former chancellor, from the main library because of segregationist comments he made in the 50s and 60s. LSU organized a committee to review with an eye toward removing the names of Confederates and Jim Crow era officials from a variety of campus buildings. And LSU has increased efforts to admit more minorities to support them through graduation. I'd love to see the COVID thing through, the conversation we're having about diversity and inclusiveness. I want to be a part of that, Gagliano said. Commissioner of Administration Jay Darden, a former LSU student body president, expressed interest in the position back in December. He was in meetings and unavailable for comment Wednesday. Within hours of Alexander announcing December 13th that he would be moving to Oregon, some of the 16 members of the LSU board started discussing whether to split the duties of his top leader. Alexander had a national reputation and had weathered sharp cuts in the state's appropriations for higher education. But Alexander also had angered some of the university's largest donors and supporters over several issues, including his effort to adopt a holistic admissions standard that downplayed College Board test scores, relying more on essays and personal recommendations. LSU has administrative needs and has academic needs, said Mary Warner, a Lake Charles Oil and Gas Company executive and chairperson of the LSU board at the time. Also, the LSU culture is one that requires its leadership to attend all sorts of social events, a necessity that many leaders have found uncomfortable, including Alexander. We're looking for the best candidate, Warner said on December 13. In April 2012, just as board appointees for Republican Governor Bobby Jindal became a majority, pugnacious LSU President John Lombardi was unpacking after detailing for the legislature the problems, as he saw them, in Jindal's plan for higher education. LSU Chancellor Michael Martin left soon thereafter. So some of the candidates that are searching to, or the search committee, well, I should say not the candidates, but the search committee involves Chairperson James Williams, former chairperson of the LSU Board of Supervisors in New Orleans, Vice Chairperson Gabriela Gonzalez Boyd, President of the LSU Department of Physics and Astronomy in Baton Rouge, Glenn Armature, LSU Board of Supervisors, member of Lafayette, Berg Ashbury, LSU Executive Deputy Director of Athletics and Executive Director of External Affairs in Baton Rouge, Hannah Barrios, Vice President of LSU Student Government, Brisk Campbell, alumni and President Campbell Cause, Shreveport. Clarence Gasselot, alumnus and chairperson of the LSU Foundation from Houston. Larry Clark, Chancellor of LSU in Shreveport. Lester W. Johnson, Vice Chancellor for Academic Affairs at LSU Health Monroe. Jessica Jones, Director of Student Success at LSU at Eunice. Valencia Jones, LSU Board of Supervisors member in Natchitoches. Lake Lombard, Instructor of the LSU School of Renewable Natural Resources, Baton Rouge. Lori Martin, Professor in the LSU Department of Sociology, Baton Rouge. Roland Mitchell, Dean of LSU College of Human Sciences and Education, Baton Rouge. Steve Nelson, Dean of LSU Health, New Orleans School of Medicine. Crystal Slaughter, alumni and co-owner of SSA Consultants, Baton Rouge. Tara Smith, Professor and Regional Director of LSU Ag Center, Central Region, Alexandria. M.A. Stams, Chairperson-elect of the LSU Board of Supervisors in Metairie. Zachary Wagner, Education Technology Specialist and Staff Senate President at LSU Alexandria. And finally, Mary Warner, Media Past Chairperson of the LSU Board of Supervisors out of Lake Charles. California alligator products ban scrapped. Louisiana challenged 2019 measure by Tristan Barrick. A federal judge on Wednesday struck down California's ban on alligator and crocodile products, a measure that could have crippled Louisiana's lucrative alligator skins industry. Judge Kimberly Mueller of the U.S. District Court for California's Eastern District rules that the state's ban, passed in 2019, runs counter for federal laws that allow the import and sale of certain alligator and crocodile products. If traded American alligators, saltwater crocodiles, and Nile crocodiles, it's authorized by a permit or an exemption under the implementing regulations, the state's prohibition is preempted, wrote Mueller, a Sacramento-based appointee of President Barack Obama. Louisiana Department of Wildlife and Fisheries, which manages the state's $80 million per year alligator products industry, filed a lawsuit in December challenging California's ban, which was aimed at curtailing illegal hunting of endangered reptiles, particularly in Asia and South America. A few weeks later, Mueller ordered a temporary restraining order on the enforcement of the law. The ban would have taken effect in January. Louisiana's alligator industry, which includes farmers, hunters, tanners, and traders, welcomed Mueller's decision. Louisiana is the largest producer of alligator skins in the U.S., and California is one of the largest markets, accounting for about 30% of world demand, according to Jack Montese, head of wildlife and fisheries and a former alligator farmer. Joining the state's lawsuit was a consortium of businesses that represented each step in the chain of commerce for alligator skins, from Louisiana alligator farmers to luxury retailers in Beverly Hills. One store recently offered an alligator jacket for $85,000. New Orleans Archdiocese to add 7 priests to abuse list by Ramon Antonio Vargas and David Hammer, staff writer and WWL TV reporter. The Archdiocese of New Orleans is preparing to add 7 names to its list of social clergy found to have credible accusations of child molestation against them, after a Roman Catholic religious order released its own roster of accused priests last week. The additional names, which includes a priest who is believed to have preyed on a minor during his time in the New Orleans area, bring the total number of alleged abuses publicly identified by Archbishop Gregory Amond to 72. Since Amond released his initial list of 57 clergy in November 2018, a series of disclosures, some by the local archdiocese and others by regional religious orders, not directly controlled by the archdiocese, have continued to raise the total. Most recent release by members of the Franciscan Friars chapter overseeing personnel in a region that encompasses Louisiana contained a roster of 24 priests and 7 religious brothers with substantiated child sex abuse allegations against them, according to order staff officials. Of those Amon identified as having worked in the New Orleans area, the Reverend Frank David, who now lives in Pueblo, Colorado, is the only one the Archdiocese believes may have molested a child during the period he spent in the area. The Archdiocese said it relied on an audit by the Franciscans to determine that 7 of the other priests should be added to the local list. The church announced the pending additions 1 day after the time Picayune. Wallace Advocate asked the church for comment on priests who appeared on the order's October 9th roster, as well as newspaper articles showing they served in the metro area. Besides David and Pimple, there are 6 Franciscan priests on the list who had accusations leveled against them while ministering elsewhere: Ray Chapa, Finbar Barry Cole, Joachim Lux, Carter Partee, Juvenal Faisler, and Randolph Thompson. And that about wraps up the news. We're right at 9:55, which our audio usually goes off on TV stations, but our audio is still available to listen to on our online streaming service, Cypress Street Radio, that's CYPRESS Street Radio, and at our YouTube station, AOC Community Media. We bring this free service to you and with collaboration with the Gagliano Advocate every Monday through Friday morning from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. We appreciate you listening in. We try to reach the visually impaired audience in our community, as well as those who don't get the newspaper or have access to the news cycle, especially now with power still out in some areas in our Gagliano, St. Landry, and Vermilion parishes. So hopefully that's going to be fixed by the end of the week. Most people do have their power back after Delta. So as always, this is Bruce Cohen. Will always be Bruce Cohen. I ask you to stay safe, healthy, and smart. This pandemic is still raging. Please be smart. When you go out to places, wear your mask. If you walk into a place where others are not masked, and I mean most of the people you find in a place are not masked, walk out. Just walk out. Don't even participate. I mean, people do have a choice, but the choice here now is to save lives, okay, and to be smart about it. Stop the spread. So wear your mask, wash your hands, and do all the things you need to do to stay healthy and keep your family safe and keep yourself safe. And as I always say every morning, be kind to each other. Have a great day.